Welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast, where we talk about struggles and celebrations that leaders and entrepreneurs experience on their journey to success. I'm your host, Christina, and I'm passionate about helping you achieve massive amounts of success at work and at home. We'll talk about all things people and organizational wellness, share relatable stories, and feature insightful guests because quality people and processes are at the heart of every success story. Ready to learn, grow, and have fun? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast. I'm your host, Christina Schmidt. So I wasn't going to do an episode this week. It is the week of Thanksgiving in the United States, and you know what? People only work part of the week. You might be saying, Christina, I thought you were in Canada. Yes, I live in Canada, but I'm very much American, and I take the boys out of school and we travel over to the US. We actually leave on the Tuesday night because I really can't stand hitting the bridge on the Wednesday. I don't like traveling at all on the Wednesday. So I make sure I'm there Tuesday so that we don't have to worry about it. So the boys are missing 3 days of school. I'm missing 3 days of working this week. So I'm jamming everything into Monday and Tuesday and just going to enjoy the family on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. So it's a very long weekend for me and the boys. But it got me thinking through, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't do this week because no one's going to listen to it because, it's a short week. But then I got thinking, well, people are traveling. Maybe somebody will want to pop something on. So I'm going to keep it a little bit shorter, and I'm going to keep it relative to Thanksgiving as well as relative to your leadership journey. So I got thinking about Thanksgiving. I went and I did my prayers this morning after I dropped the boys off. I always go and sit in front of the Blessed Sacrament and I do my rosary and kind of pray, think through the day, do whatever. I just spend some time. I kind of just go and say hi. But I started thinking this morning, gosh, gratitude. That's what we always talk about for Thanksgiving. But isn't gratitude or isn't positive feedback to our team, isn't that just gratitude? I was doing a presentation on Friday about the working genius. And in it, I always spend some time talking about what crushes and craves each genius. So the genius of enablement it's one of my geniuses, but it's one of those ones that they crush and they crave something about feedback. So what they're crushed by is people just not appreciating them or not noting that they've helped. And what they crave is that kind of simple thank you, right? Like, oh my gosh, that helped. Like they don't want a party though, right? So just to I'm going to backslide a little bit, but in the genius of enablement is that genius where people get joy and energy from helping others or from basically, if you have something that needs help with, they want to jump in. So on a team, they're wonderful glue to piece and hold that team together because they're going to help people cross those boundaries and not work in silos so much. So amazing people to have on your team, and they really help bring everything together. But they sometimes need to be noticed, and they need to have a little bit of gratitude, right? So as we're getting into this Thanksgiving season and as we're approaching Advent and this whole Christmas season, I started thinking, oh my gosh, let's talk about gratitude and let's talk about how it relates to positive feedback that we give to our team. And then I really started thinking about it. I don't think I've done a podcast about this yet. Like I may have touched on it here and there, but I haven't actually done a whole podcast on positive feedback and why we want to do it, why it's important, and why everyone needs to do it. Okay, so that's what this is today. We're going to talk about gratitude and how it relates to giving positive feedback to people. So one of my biggest, complaints or feedback or refusals to do this with teams that I hear from leaders is, why do I have to say thank you for people doing their job? Why do I have to say thank you for that? That's what the paycheck is for. That seems to be the trend that I hear. And it's first of all, the paycheck is not the thank you. The paycheck is like you've made a deal. It's a business transaction, right? Like they're going to give you work, you're going to pay them. So that's what that is. It's not the thank you though, because we're humans. And the reality is that our paycheck has very little to do with our motivation at work. I have found that if people are complaining about their pay, it is typically because there's a whole lot of other things wrong. So they're saying, oh my gosh, I put up with all this stuff and all this crap and nobody appreciates me and I have crappy pay, right? And so like it's usually down the road. So if we're complaining about that, there's a whole lot of other things that have gone awry already. So feedback is not, your thank you is not the paycheck, or your paycheck is not the thank you is probably a better way to say that. So let's keep that in mind. The second thing is, why do team members need it? Okay, so let's just think about it. I want you to take a minute. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes. But if you're not, close your eyes and think about, okay, when was the last time I was thanked? What did I like about it? How did it make me feel? I know for me, when I get thanked, I sometimes feel like, oh, like not embarrassed, but I feel, oh gosh, don't even, but it does make me feel good to know that I helped that person. Granted, I have the genius of enablement, so I love to help people and I love to hear that I've helped people. So all good stuff. But it makes me feel good and it makes me know that I'm on the right track. Now, this is the kicker here. This is what I want you to remember and keep in mind. How do you know if you're doing the right thing? How do you know if your boss or your spouse or your family likes what you're doing? You kind of don't. The only way you know is if somebody says, hey, I like that. I like what you're doing. So how do people know to keep doing what they're doing or to do more of what they're doing unless you give them that feedback? So this is why we have to do it for our team. So now I want you to think to when you've ever seen a child learning how to walk. Okay, so nobody has ever said, oh my gosh, you fell to a 1-year-old who's learning how to walk, right? They're always saying, oh my gosh, great job, you took a step. Oh my gosh, you stood. Oh my gosh, you're walking while hanging on to something. So we encourage every little step. But at some point we stop doing that. We stop doing that progressive encouragement because everyone should just know it, right? Or we should learn how to do it. And that's just the expectation. But how much better would we feel if we got some stepped encouragement, right? We didn't just get criticized and knocked down every time we made a mistake, even though we're in the learning phase of it, right? It's important that we're thanking people and we're showing that gratitude and giving that positive feedback, because how do we get more of what we want? We tell them, hey, you're doing the thing I want you to do. It's amazing. Thank you. Okay, so keeping that in mind, I'm going to give you a process to use because I love having a process, and especially when we're not used to doing it, it's super great to have language around that. And it's super great to kind of have a script in our brains that we're going to say so that when we're in that uncomfortable, awkward, weird feeling moment, we can say it, right? We're not stumbling over our words or kind of going, oh, thank you, or whatever it is. So here is a process for giving good, positive feedback. Okay, so I've heard people use the acronym SPAT. So you're going to spat it out, right? Not kind of an unattractive view of it, but what it's really saying is specific. So you're taking the S and the P together. So you want to be very specific about the thing that they did. And that's what takes us to the second one, to the A, is the action. So what did they do? So you're very specifically saying the action and you're doing it in a timely fashion. So again, the quicker the better, because now we're reinforcing that behavior. right? We're back to behaviors again. We're wanting to say, that was the thing I like, so thank you. Do that again. Or that was the thing I like, do more of that, or even do it more than you did before, right? That's what we're saying. We're saying, hey, thank you. We appreciate it. I am grateful that you did it. So I'm going to give you one better than the spat though. And the spat, on top of that, I call it like supercharging your gratitude, is that you want to give them the impact, right? You want to say, thank you so much for, filling out that report on time. It helps me get my reports done on time when you do that. So thank you. Easy, right? And you're giving them the reason that you like it and that impact to you, which is that super duper one, right? So people, we are relational beings, right? We're spiritual beings, but we relate to each other. We are meant to live in community, work in community, and function as community. Like even just taking the working genius, like literally it is showing us that we need a bunch of other people around us in order to successfully get things accomplished. So we need one another. So when we can give people that reason, so that very specific, hey, this thing that you did was wonderful, so thank you. And it helped me this way. So giving the impact is good. So it helped the company such and such. But if you can give how it affected you as a human, or like other humans, maybe like, hey, that whole team appreciated everything you did. Like if you can give them that kind of feedback, it's going to mean more to that person. And it's going to kind of give them all the good feelings, all those endorphins going, and solidify that sort of behavior. When we can give people kind of that chemical reaction to what we've done or what they've done, it sticks better and they're going to learn it better. They're going to feel better when they do it the next time and things get better. It's wonderful, right? Okay, so I'm going to review that again quickly. So the process is say something very specific. You did this about the action that they did, and then that impact that it made, hopefully to you or to whatever human that it impacted, and do it as quickly as you can. Obviously, we can't always do it, super quickly, but quickly. So I would say verbally is actually the best because now they're seeing you, they're seeing your whole face, your your facial expressions, they're hearing the intonation in your voice so they can feel that you mean it more. When we can hear something, we can see something, we can feel that we mean it more. If you want to also send a thank you note, you can do that, right? It solidifies it even more and it's like good, proper conduct and culture. So you can do that as well. But I would say do it verbally first. Like, when you're opening presents with people, you say thank you in person, and then you can maybe later write the thank you note. So that is something that I want you to take away, especially in this Thanksgiving season. And I am going to present a challenge to you all because I'm also going to do this challenge myself because I've done it before and I found it very impactful. So I might actually do it for Advent. So many people don't think of Advent as like a penitentiary, but penitential. I can't think the words, but a season where we give things up. But it actually is. It's like Lent in that way. We should be giving something up during it. So this might be something or kind of something I'm going to do during Advent because it's good practice. It's, approximately a month long. So it's good habit building, time frames, that sort of thing. But something I did a while back, I think it was a couple of years ago now, was I gave myself a challenge to give feedback whenever I possibly could. So this was like to strangers on the street. If somebody did something, I was going to say, thank you for that thing. If I liked the way someone's hair looked that day, I was going to make sure I said it because I have this like way that I don't like to say things. So I was going to, in that time I did practice doing it, and it was amazing that like after the first couple of times I did it, it just got easier. and then easier again, and then even easier. And then I stopped doing it for whatever reason, and I kind of fell off the wagon again. So I want to do it again because it was good. It was freeing. It helped me to say more, but it also allowed me to make a big impact on others. So let's talk about that impact quickly, because impact to strangers is one thing. I think, you don't know what kind of day they've been having. So if you can give them that positive, wow, that was really impactful to me, you could be turning their whole day around. So impact to strangers is huge. But let's talk about impact to people close to us, because sometimes it's harder to give the feedback to the people close to us. So whether it's your work team or your home team, we get used to things happening. Somebody turns the report in every single week and we're just used to it. You go and visit people and you make each other meals and you just get used to it. No one says thank you anymore. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I struggle to say it, but I have to believe that when we're close, how often do you say thank you to your spouse for picking the kids up or making dinner or keeping the laundry done so you have clean socks? How often is that actually happening? And how much more impactful does it hit when we step outside of our norm and our normal routine and something different or unique happens, right? This is why holidays are impactful, because we're stepping outside the norm. We have dinner every night, but now we're going to do this special dinner with turkey and stuffing, and we're going to overstuff ourselves and then eat it again later in the day because it's just that much more fun. That's why we do these celebrations, to step outside our norm. So if we can make an effort in the holiday season, so kicking it off with Thanksgiving because it's our season of gratitude, and carrying it through Advent, carrying it through the Christmas season, and hopefully making it a habit that you develop amongst your teams, work and home teams, to just have more gratitude in general. So I challenge you, and I would love to hear anyone who's taking the challenge on, how it goes for you and how it's working, but challenge you to just be more grateful this season and use this SPAT plus the impact, SPATty, maybe, I don't know, SPATty process and just use it with everybody you know. So challenge yourself to give feedback to everybody that you see, everything that you see that is worthy of the feedback or even not worthy of the feedback. Just start giving it like crazy and see what happens. I want to hear what these impacts are, because I think it could have a huge impact on your team, on your family, on your life, maybe your community, on the whole world, if we all just started saying thank you more. So I want to wish you all a very blessed and grateful and thankful Thanksgiving. And I do appreciate all of you who listen. I super appreciate all of you who share this with others, sharing this with your team and with your family, because again, this is how we get the word out. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, please share it with a friend. Hop on to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and leave me a review, because I love feedback. And I need feedback, right? It makes the world go round, we'll say. All right. Well, thank you again. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Advent as we start moving into this wonderful season. And I will see you on the next episode of the Business Building Blocks podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Business Building Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. If you found value in our conversation, please leave a quick review, or share. It helps us reach more amazing listeners like you. For more resources and insights, visit ChristinaSchmidt.ca, where you can find tools and support to empower your leadership journey. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.